Hello students, welcome back to the class. So today we will discuss about the other two vitamins in the B complex, that is vitamin B2 and vitamin B3. Vitamin B2, the chemical name is riboflavin. Earlier it was given the name flavins because in Latin it refers to yellow. This vitamin was yellow in color, hence the name given was flavins. But later it was found that in the structure of this vitamin it contains a ribose sugar, hence the name was riboflavin. So riboflavin was adapted from then. It is also called as lactoflavin. This is because it's found in milk and as usual as a yellow enzyme because of its color. So the chemical name of vitamin B2 is riboflavin. Now if you look at the dietary sources, milk and the milk products are the good source of this vitamin, where when you say milk products, it can be buttermilk, curd, cheese, paneer and all other milk products are good sources of this vitamin. And whole grains, dry beans, pure and nuts are also the good source. And when it comes to the vegetable source, green leafy vegetables are good sources wherein the tender leaves and the buds contain more of vitamin B2 than the mature ones. Then in the animal sources, liver, kidney, egg and meat are also the good sources of this vitamin B2 or the riboflavin. So after knowing the dietary sources, let us know about the requirement of vitamin B2. So requirement, or we call it as recommended dietary allowance, as given by ICMR 2010. ICMR, if you know, it refers to the Indian Council of Medical Research. It's an organization, it's a government organization which is for the formulation, coordination and promotion of the biomedical research, and ICMR is one of the oldest and the largest medical research bodies in the world. And this ICMR is funded by the Government of India through the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So according to this ICMR 2010, the dietary source of the requirement of vitamin B2 varies from 0.6 mg for every 1000 kilocalories for a healthy person. This is because just like the vitamin B1, B2 also has a role in carbohydrate metabolism or the energy metabolism. So its requirement again depends on the energy intake or the calorie intake. So for every 1000 kilocalories, 0.6 mg of the vitamin B2 will be required. Now if you look at the adult men, the requirement varies from 1.4 to 2.1 mg per day, whereas in adult women it is 1.1 to 2.4 mg. Here you can see a wide range from 1.1 to 2.4 in case of women. This is because the women have different age groups and the conditions like pregnancy period, then lactation period, so it varies. Then in children also, from infants it starts from, so that is why 0.3 mg to 1.8 mg. Here also you can see a very wide range. So when you take children, so from infants till 19 years it is considered. So from 20 and above it is taken as adults. So up to teenage the requirement is considered for children only. So again it has a wide range for 0.3 to 1.8 mg per biological role. So now you know about the dietary sources of the vitamin, but also about its requirement. And the next thing we need to know is about the biological role of this vitamin. This vitamin, that is vitamin B2 or the riboflavin, is a precursor for two coenzyme forms, that is flavin mononucleotide, that is FMN, and flavin adenine dinucleotide, that is FAD. So both FMN and FAD are the two coenzyme forms of the vitamin B2 or the riboflavin. FMN and FAD function as the carrier of electrons in oxidation reduction reactions of the electron transport chain, because these two have ability to accept and transfer the hydrogen atoms. They act as a carrier of electrons in the electron transport chain. That is the terminal oxidation process of the food molecule, electron transport chain. So these two act as a carrier of electrons. Then these coenzymes are also associated with all the enzymes, many of the enzymes of carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and also the nucleic acid, that is purine metabolism. Then they have a role in the production of hormones of the adrenal gland. Then formation of the red blood cells in the bone marrow, that also requires these two coenzymes. Then synthesis of glycogen, and this is necessary for the conversion of tryptophan to vitamin, that is niacin. So here let me tell you. So vitamin niacin is converted from the tryptophan, and for this conversion of the tryptophan to niacin, this vitamin B2 is required, or in B2 the coenzyme forms, that is this FMN and FAD are required. Is deficiency symptoms. So now you know about the dietary sources of this vitamin, then the recommended dietary allowance, the requirement, then biological role, and then we need to know about this deficiency symptom. So when you know about the deficiency symptom, it has many clinical features. One such is orolingual features, which is actually refers to the pathological condition associated with the mouth region. So one such thing is angular stomatitis. Here, lesions are the marks that can be seen on the angles of the mouth or the corners of the mouth. Here you can see in this picture, these are the lesions that appears on the corners of the mouth, hence it is called as angular stomatitis, which is one of the deficiency disorder of this vitamin. Then there is chelosis, we call as. Chelosis refers to the small cracks or fissures at the corners of the mouth. So this chopped lips are the cracked lips. So chelosis actually is a dry chopped appearance of the lips, which generally is associated with a superficial ulcer. This is a characteristic feature of the vitamin B2 deficiency, that is chelosis, which refers to the dry chopped appearance of the lips with superficial ulcers. So orolingual features includes angular stomatitis and the chelosis. The next symptom of this orolingual feature includes glossitis. So glossitis is nothing but the inflammation of the tongue, or the tongue becomes swollen and reddened and is called as glossitis. So here you can see in this picture a smooth surface, a smooth or the inflamed tongue with magenta red, or is also called as purplish tongue, is a characteristic feature of this glossitis. Here on the smooth tongue, so generally in a healthy person, if you see, there will be a small rounded protuberance on the tongue, that is actually required to increase the surface area of the taste bud. Here, because of the inflammation of the tongue, that has been lost, right? So this is the smooth tongue or the purplish tongue due to that inflammation or the swelling. It has turned red. And dermal lesions. So these three, that is angular stomatitis, chelosis, and the glossitis. These three include the orolingual features. Then dermal features are also seen, that is as dermatitis or the dermal lesions. So dermatitis of the face, ears, and nose can be observed. This is due to the reduced skin collagen. So collagen, you know that it's a skin protein. And now the reduced skin protein in the absence of the vitamin leads to dermatitis, which is also referred to as the shark skin, because there will be a skin eruptions that is observed. Hence it is called as shark skin. Then it also includes ocular manifestations. So this refers to the clinical features that are seen in the eyes. Photophobia is one such feature. Photophobia refers to sensitivity to light. Then lacrimation is another feature. So lacrimation is teary eyes or the continuous flow of tears from the eyes. This is because lacrimal gland, which is responsible for the synthesis of tears, is being inflamed. So inflammation of the lacrimal gland leads to lacrimation. Then burning and visual fatigue is also observed, where visual fatigue is irritability or uncomfortable in seeing or viewing things. Okay, so these are all the ocular manifestations. So totally it is orolingual features, then dermal lesions, and also the ocular manifestations or the clinical features of the deficiency disorders of this vitamin. So this completes about the vitamin B2 or riboflavin, wherein we have discussed the dietary sources you know about, right? Then RDA or the recommended dietary allowance or the requirement you know, then biological role we have discussed, and also the deficiency symptoms of this vitamin. Now let us move on to the next vitamin complex series, that is vitamin B3 or is called as niacin. This is also known as the pellagra preventing factor or the PP factor, because pellagra is a deficiency symptom or the deficiency disorder of this vitamin. Hence, this is called as pellagra preventing factor, and earlier it was also used to call by the name nicotinic acid, but now niacin is a generic name for this nicotinic acid, nicotinamide, and all other related derivatives. I hope you know about the generic name and the brand name. So generic name refers to the name given due to its chemical constituents, whereas the brand name is the commercial name, because different pharmaceutical companies what they have given. Say for example, paracetamol is a generic name, whereas it has a brand name of Dolo, then Crocin, and Calpol, and so many others we call, right? So that is the difference. Here niacin is the generic name given to the nicotinic acid and its derivative. So but before, earlier it was also called by the name nicotinic acid, but now the chemical name of vitamin B3 is niacin. And one very interesting thing about this vitamin is it is most stable of all the B complex vitamins. Hence, it is not lost during cooking. So stable in the sense it is resistant to heat, resistant to oxidation, and also resistant to alkali. Okay, hence this vitamin is most stable of the B complex vitamins. So if you look at the dietary sources, so whole cereals, pulses, nuts, and meat or the good sources of this vitamin. Here again, just like the vitamin B1 and B2, the requirement is related to the energy intake. So it also varies in different conditions. Say for example, okay, if you look at the requirement, 6.6 mg of vitamin B3 is required for every 1000 kilocalories of the energy intake. And requirement in men varies from 16 to 21 mg per day, and in women 12 to 20 mg. As I told you earlier, it varies with pregnancy and lactation period also. Then in children, but that is from infants till 19 years of age, hence its requirement varies from 8 mg to 14 mg per day. That is, children of different age groups have a different requirement. So now you know about its dietary source and the requirement, and the next thing is about its biological role. So biological role, so all these vitamins have the coenzyme forms, where niacin coenzyme forms are NAD and NADP. So NAD refers to nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, whereas its phosphorylated form, that is the phosphorylated form of NAD, is NADP. where it has one phosphate group, and thus it becomes nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. And what is the difference between these two? This phosphorylated from NADP has a role in anabolic reaction, whereas NAD has a role in all catabolic reaction. So you know what is catabolism and anabolism, right? Catabolic reactions includes all those reactions where the macromolecules are degraded into simpler molecules. Okay, whereas anabolic reactions includes the building up of the molecule, that is building up of the macromolecules from the simpler molecule. So this is the building up process, whereas this is the degradative process. Fine. So NAD is required for catabolic reactions, whereas NADP is required for all the anabolic reactions. And these two coenzymes, they participate in more than 200 enzyme reactions. So you know both of them have a role in both anabolism and catabolism. Hence more than 200 enzymes require these two as coenzyme for the reactions. Now let us look at which are those pathways which require these coenzymes. This vitamin or the coenzyme forms, it has a role in energy yielding metabolism, that is of carbohydrate metabolism, fat metabolism, protein, and also in alcohol metabolism. Then all the main catabolic path, the metabolic pathways what we refers to, that is glycolysis, citric acid cycle, and HMP shunt. HMP shunt is hexose monophosphate shunt. It also requires these two coenzymes. Then nicotinic acid especially, it is essential for the normal functioning of skin, intestinal tract, and also for the nervous system. Hence, the deficiency symptoms which definitely will interfere with all those biological functions, and thus it is seen as pellagra. We call this pellagra as a disease of the 3Ds or 3D syndrome. So the deficiency of this vitamin is pellagra, which is characterized by 3Ds. Which are those 3Ds? Dermatitis, diarrhea, and dementia. It is dermatitis, diarrhea, and dementia called as 3D syndrome. Together, it is a pellagra. So here, dermatitis is photosensitive rashes appears on the face and the neck especially, and all those regions which is exposed to the sunlight. So the dermatitis can be observed, and it has a characteristic feature of Cass's necklace. So it is called as Cass's necklace because you can see the dermatitis on the neck region which is exposed to the sunlight gives an appearance like a necklace. That is why it is called Cass's necklace. And here you can see a person with this pellagra having a dermatitis on all those regions which is exposed to the sunlight. So this is the first D of the pellagra, that is dermatitis. The next is diarrhea and the dementia. So diarrhea, because as I was telling you the biological role, this enzyme is required for the normal functioning of the intestine as well as for the nervous system, right? Now in its deficiency, its function is affected and thus lead to inflamed mucous membrane of the small intestine. So this inflammation of the mucous membrane of the intestine results in the diarrhea. So this is the second D of the pellagra, second D syndrome. Then dementia or loss of memory. This is because changes in the mental function due to the impaired peripheral nerve function. So the peripheral nerve functioning of the peripheral nerve is affected in the deficiency of this vitamin, and that lead to the third D, that is dementia. So these are the 3D syndrome of the pellagra, that is dermatitis, diarrhea, and dementia. So this is about the vitamin B3 or niacin. So wherein you know about its dietary source, requirement, biological role, and the deficiency disorder or the deficiency symptom. These are some of the references which I have made. Thank you.